A story once spoken is ageless, the dungeon imagined without end. The curious are the ones most courageous. The tree that endures has to bend. From stillness the mad mage is stirring. From countless voices the castle takes shape. Zagig will test the enduring. Those unlucky will never escape. Well, howdy and hello. Whoops, I forgot to turn on this guy. How's it going? How's your day? How was your weekend? Tell me all the stuff. It's been a pretty good time over here. We had a busy weekend of playing the new Dragon Age Veilguard and firing a shotgun for the first time. So we had good times. But how are y'all doing? Lovely to be here. Lovely to see the trolls. Having a good time. I just did a workout class with my mom, so I'm like whipped. Pravon, how are you? Good to see you. Razzmatazz, hello. How are you? How's it going? Welcome in, you two. How's life? How's your week? I know it's a big week. It's election week. We don't talk politics. I'm not going to talk politics, but hey, go vote. Go exercise your right for being a taxpayer. Whichever way you do it, just do it. New type, welcome in. Good to see you. How's it going? Reading up on the areas around Yeagsburg. Good choice. Very, very good choice. Yeagsburg kind of breaks my brain a little bit on how like expansive it is, because it's huge and it's only like a side city in the Castle Zagig setting. I just think it's nuts. Hey, Longshot, welcome back from month 44. God damn. That's almost 4 years, right? Yeah, damn. Well, hey, thanks for being here. How's it going? How's everything? Yeah, I fired a shotgun for the first time this weekend. I had handled a gun once before, like as a kid. I had never really had like an interest in it again after that, but like just the whole family was shooting clay pigeons, and I tagged along, and it was awesome. I did get one, so I feel like it was a win. But damn, one thing that I did not anticipate was like the adrenaline of practicing that. Adrenaline goes crazy. It is crazy to hold in your hands a weapon that can kill somebody. I know that you technically do that anytime you're driving a car, but it feels notably different when it's a gun. Much like Gary's original descriptions of Greyhawk when he started with the ruins up the hill. Yeah, man. So Greyhawk is one of those settings I know nothing about. I've never looked into anything Greyhawk. Because, I mean, the whole time that I've been gaming, I've been either working for Trollord Games or doing like homebrew settings. So I had never really been exposed to Greyhawk, but my understanding of it is that it's legendary for very, very good reason. Have you played in Greyhawk? Have any of you played in Greyhawk? And if so, what's the word? Yes, what'd you think? I used to have that Darlene Greyhawk map. I can't believe I got rid of it. The Darlene Greyhawk map. What is that? Ooh. If it's the thing that I'm seeing from a quick Google search, this is very pretty. Man, fantasy art and fantasy maps are so dang cool. I started in Greyhawk. I still love Greyhawk. That's awesome. I feel like that would solidify, like, just give it such a solid, like, place in your heart, you know? If it's the first place that you ever gamed in. I know that I feel that for the first setting that I ever played in. Darlene did the maps for Yeagsburg and Zagig books out now. Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome. I didn't know that. Greyhawk just has a special place. Yeah. I know what you mean. It's a giant poster map. I used to just stare at it. That's the best, though. Like, looking at a fantasy map and just kind of zoning out a little bit and imagining, like, your travels. I don't think I'm the only one that does that. I hope I'm not. They haven't institutionalized me yet. So. Lifting this is a challenge right now. We did, like, arms today. And it's made things problematic. Brad, welcome back for month 21. How are you? It's so good to see you again. How was your weekend? How's your day going? They always had Ernie's version hung up at GaryCon the first few years. That's nice. That's so nice. Ernie's version of the map of Greyhawk. Man, if a convention ever, like, hung up something that I created I could just die. That'd be it. That's so cool. Day was long, weekend was okay. Hey, technically your days are shorter now. Because we've, gained an hour, lost an hour? We fell back. It's later now than it would be. Maybe that's why I'm like sleepy. What's up, gamers? How's it going, G-word? Less daylight. Yeah. Short days, long nights. Having cozy ambient lighting has revolutionized my entire life. I used to have a really hard time when it was dark all the time, and now I can't wait for it to be like dark all the time because it's so cool looking in here when it's dark. So it's been good times. Are y'all, so I know that a lot of states have like disbanded daylight savings time. Is that true? I don't think I made that up. I thought Tennessee like stopped. Pika, where the hell you been, Loca? It's so good to see you. It's been so long. You're loved. I appreciate you. Thanks for poking your cute little head in. I appreciate you. Gummy worms contain no gum and very little worm. They are mostly bone. Why would you do this to me, though? Like, all I want to know is why. Where the hell you been? Hey, Brevin, thank you so much for the sub. Welcome in. One of us. One of us. One of my favorite bits of all time is like saying that things are boneless versions of other things. So like water is boneless ice. I'm looking around for like examples because then when I talk about a thing, then I suddenly can't think of a single example of the thing that I'm talking about. A chicken, nope, never mind. Damn, I can't think of a single example. Y'all get the idea. Illinois goes back and forth time zone wise. Indiana, at least parts of it, never changes its time. Oh, okay. So is it on like, it's not on a state basis. I see. I've been for quite a while, just needed to put my money in it. Well, hey, welcome back. And thank you all for the hype train. We super appreciate it. We never expect Twitch to be like a moneymaker. We just kind of view it as like something that we can do to interact with y'all. And we super appreciate it. Harassing Steve since 2008 at GaryCon and everyone. Do it. He loves it. He loves being harassed. His favorite thing in the world is being talked to. By the way, did you find out what happened to Grace the Bard's husband in my fanfic? Was it as bad as I said? I have not. Damn it. Thank you for jogging my memory. I forgot to get back into it. Life came at me hard and quick, and I was not reading for a long time. And I will fix that. He does? That is not true? No, come on. It's his favorite. It's his favorite. He loves it. Being talked to and especially asked questions about like little kind of random things. It's his favorite. You should do it a lot. Like what most people would call pestering. He calls his favorite thing ever. Love having you on here hyping the system. Fuck yeah, I'm here to bring the hype, baby. That's what we do. I should have read Gen Con, not Gary Con. Oh, gotcha. I run the intro to CNC games at Gary Con since 2014. Dude, that rocks. Thank you for doing that. I think that like making spaces for new people to come in and try the system, that's like one of the most fundamentally important things that can possibly be done. And we super appreciate you doing that. That rocks. Hey, Helium here. Thanks so much for the follow. Welcome in. How are you today? Nothing makes him happier. Nothing at all. I should give you the stuff for the starter kit. Which starter kit? Our starter kit? The CNC starter kit? Steve, who would win a fight between a Tarrasque and a Demogorgon? Here's the thing. I know exactly what he'd do. He'd go, well, and that's the answer. Grace, you and Nick were awesome at Gamehole Con. Congrats on leveling up. Agile Monk, thank you so much. And welcome in. Thanks for tuning in. That video took 150% of my time today, and it was so much fun to revisit, just like running around the convention and like talking to vendors and like having an awesome time with everybody. So like, thanks for watching the video, and I appreciate the kind words. We had a really great time, and I hope to maybe do more of those videos, because I think that they're fun. And the best part is like getting to promo like the other vendors that are also in the dealer hall and just learning more about them. The one that I wrote, yeah. I mean, yes, please. Did that come out? It did. I just put it out like 4 o'clock ish today, Eastern. So it's out, it's done. It was a chungus to edit, but I'm pretty happy with how it came out. Should I have probably taken more time on it? Maybe, but I'm proud of it. It's fun to get back into like editing videos and like, this one was not a sketch, but like little, like either sketch comedy or like little videos out in the wild. That was something that I did a lot as a kid. When I was like 11 or 12, I had a YouTube channel with some friends, and like editing videos was like one of my favorite things to do with my time. So it was very fun to like, I mean, just really like anything that we've done on this channel has been fun to like go through and edit and get back into that. Steve, what god of Aihrde would be the best to hang out with? He'd say the Allfather, because the Allfather doesn't talk. Can't wait for my paper copy of the Hermit stuff. Dude, I cannot wait either. I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited. I can't wait in particular for the Thieves' Cant dictionary. I think that's going to be awesome. So very, very, very exciting stuff. It should be like December. So we're coming up on it. None of them, they're not real. They're boneless real gods. Just finished the Hermit's spell book. 33 new spells. You're saying all of the right words to me right now. 33 and new and spells is the best string of words that you could say to me. And beat Jason, so he works harder on the Codex Party O's. Yeah, right after Jason gets back from vacation, we're just going to take a cane and just go. Faster! But, hey, I keep fucking around and not reading fiction like I should be. And if I keep talking in like an animated fashion, my arms are going to fall off of my body. By the end of like the hour-long workout, I could not really lift my right arm. So instead of that, let's jump right back into it. There, that works. Like he's a criminal in Singapore. Revamping so much of the Adventurers spellbook. I cannot wait for the Adventurers series to be like, to get the reforged treatment. You know what I mean? Oh, it's gonna be so good. I love the Adventurers backpack so much. I think that's my favorite resource that we have. I like the Player's Archive too, but the Adventurers backpack is really like, it's just, it activates the imagination. Please no, I have to do all that. Here's the thing about Jeremy, everybody. Jeremy loves it when you give him things to do. He's like a border collie. He needs a task. So just give him a bunch of little like tasks to do, and it keeps him enriched and happy. I know what the troll's like. Anyway, we're going to read. We've been making our way through the coming of the winter dark to the world of Aihrde. And last we left off, the evil wizard Malazor had set about attempting to bring a darkness, a dark presence that he found in the deep void beyond the Wall of Worlds, to Aihrde. And basically everyone in the world is trying to stop him from doing that. Everyone who's not on his side. So it's kind of the heroes of Aihrde versus Malazor and his White Order of Wizards. The backpack is cool, but the Adventure Spellbook has so much elemental stuff from Jim and Jason's system, and the core, they do not line up or scale well. That's fair. The Spellbook is a lot of fun. I know what the trolls want. I know what the trolls need. I know things. A darkness, a stain upon the void? Sounds like a fun weekend to me. I don't know what I mean by that, so we're going to gloss over it. So Malazor is trying to bring the darkness to Aihrde. The heroes of Aihrde of this age are trying to stop him. And some notable names have been Daladon Half-Elf, who's a half-elf, and I think some sort of ranger, maybe. I actually don't know that for sure. There is... God, what was his name? Luther. A paladin named Luther. A great wizard called Aristobulus. Another wizard named Patrice. Aristobulus's assistant, intern, apprentice. That's the word I was looking for. Aristobulus's apprentice named Rapscallion, who actually defects and chooses to instead join Malazor in return for power. And Rapscallion actually has himself a little bit of a glow up as he's teaming up with Malazor and ends up on the throne to, I think, Aliosh? It's not Enoch. War spread across Enoch. Took up the throne in Aliosh. So Rapscallion takes the throne in Aliosh with the help of Malazor, and basically becomes a god emperor and names himself Sebastian Olivier the First, which is a little bit of a step up from Rapscallion as far as names go. And basically Aliosh and Malazor and the White Order and their soldiers kind of go to war with a lot of the other countries of men, notably, I think, Kaomar and Enoch. With these proclamations, Rapscallion, the beggar Prince Sebastian, brought upon himself the wrath of the Council of Patrice and the kings in the west, most notably King Luther in the high towered halls of Kaomar. So Malazor is at war with everybody. They're all saying stop. He's saying no. And that's kind of where we left off. So we're going to see if he succeeds in bringing the darkness to the world of Aihrde. I'm going to keep guzzling water like my life depends on it, because it does. Get yourself a beverage, settle in, be chill, be cozy, settle into whatever kind of task you'd like to do for this time. And we're going to read a little story about war and how the darkness was fought against. And we'll begin with the War of the Straits. It was in these years that the elves began to discuss leaving Aihrde and traveling through the rings of brass to their ancient lands of the Seven Rivers, for they saw the coming of a dark and cold age. Many of their lords gathered in a great moot at the feet of Queen Adavia of Elaine, and debated the merits of remaining to aid those gathering against the new emperor, or returning to the land of Seven Rivers. The loss of life was strange to them, for they were deathless, whereas men were not. The elves, too, never understood the judgment of Corthane, and how it made men seek hurriedly for a vanity that they never attained. The Prince of Lothian, who dwelt in power even in the shadow of Keomar, sought most of all to leave the world, for he had quarreled bitterly with his half-human son, Daladon, and wished nothing more than to rid himself of the pain of his quarrel and the world itself. Many stood by Prince Lothian, his son Maltaug, lords and ladies, and many of the host besides. The elven sorcerers joined their voices to his, for they had seen the arc of time and foretold the coming of the dark. For all of their foreknowledge and wisdom, the elves have hesitated. With Enoch behind him, Sebastian, rapscallion, moved south, conquering the coastal duchies and the Isle of Vilshofen. His armies began the construction of a fleet to protect his southern conquests. While construction was underway, the emperor turned his attention to the west. He absorbed the peoples of the Red River valleys in several short but brutal campaigns. After that, he passed beneath the Vorarlberg mountains, following an ancient path built by the dwarves, and invaded the lands of the Detmold. These small realms fell quickly, for the peoples were disorganized. Sebastian subdued the lands to the north and south of the Detmold until he controlled all the land between the mountains and the straits of Ursal. These conquests took the better part of 6 years, followed by another 2 years in which he refitted his armies and constructed a second fleet to carry his armies into the lands of Ethram. Seeing these events unfold, the Queen of the Elves bid her people leave Aihrde and cross through the rings of brass to the land of Seven Rivers. There they could find peace and safety and bid the world decide its own fate, as ever it had in the past. Many began slipping over the borders of the worlds, to the rivers where they made peace with themselves, however they could. For all knew that they had abandoned the world in the face of a horror not seen since the rise of the Red God, for they had seen the darkness that lay upon the arc of time. In 726 OY, Sebastian crossed the straits and laid siege to Avignon. The chivalry of the lords of Anglame met him upon the field of battle and threw him back across the sea. The emperor's setback was short-lived, for when he returned, he led his armies in person, and they broke the walls of that high town and drove the great host of knights back into the hinterlands. All the while, Sebastian's fleets ravaged the coast, sacking and burning towns until most submitted to his rule. As war rolled across the great straits, The remaining kingdoms gathered in a holy alliance and committed themselves to a crusade against the emperor. King Luther of Ceomar abdicated his throne in favor of his son, Robert Luther, and taking the Durendale sword into the east, he swore to slay the sorcerer Malazor or the Emperor Sebastian, whichever came near him first. His old companions traveled with him, Aristobulus the White Mage, and Daladon Half-Elven, and a small band of heroes. Their task proved fatal, for Aristobulus fell to a demon lord from the wretched plains, and the companions were slain or lost one by one. Luther, seeing the fall of his many comrades, heeded the gods, and carried the Durendale from the plain into the dreaming sea, there to guard and hide it from the enemy. Daladon Lothian, the lone survivor of the venture, returned to the west, determined to raise more armies and continue the war. He learned then that the elves were choosing to depart, and had been leaving Aihrde for many years. In a rage, Daladon cursed his people and damned them, and the echo of his curses followed many into exile, where they choked on the bitter taste of it. Unknowingly, Daladon cursed his own half-brother, Meltaug Lothian, a prince of the elves. When Meltaug heard his brother's challenge and damnation, it tore a wound in his heart that would not heal. He became possessed of a driving need to battle the evil that surrounded the God Emperor's throne. He left his father in the land of 7 rivers, returning by secret ways to the world at large. None came with him, but in time he gathered a small band of elves and joined the battle against the east. Thus began one of the greatest epics in the long history of Aihrde. Meltaug was deathless, and he waged his war against evil for 1,000 years and more. In time, his lust for war drove him mad, and he destroyed any and all who stood against his grim purpose. Puppy, it's not real. His tale became one that men told in after ages, and was bound in the Lothian chronicles. His was a strange and twisted path that ended as it began, with curses and death. In truth, not all the elves fled the world with the queen. Her own daughter, Londea, remained behind with an order of elven warlords called the Lunar Knights. They fought on into the new Rin of the world, though only a few remained when the Winter Dark Wars began. Aside from these, many others stayed behind, hidden in the deep forests, the deserts, or other wild places. Most notable of these were Nigold, king of the wood elves of the Eldwood. There were others, some growing corrupt by the victories of the dark. These evolved into the Twilight Elves, neither good nor evil, but possessed of a great knowledge of sorcery. In these waning days of the 5th Rin, Malazor stole away to Castle Kelsion in the far north, where Patrice had come to reside. He sought to end the power of the old mage. The castle lay upon a large hill, amidst a wasteland of bogs. Standing water crowded with the remnants of decay surrounding the castle spread for many miles through the tundra. The air was cold and hard in the lungs, stinging with each breath. The hint of moisture congealed in the throat. No wind blew. The skies hung pale blue as the mage crossed through the water. Sodden, his cloaks dragging through the mud, Malazor came to the gates and tapped the butt of his staff upon them. "Lord Patrice, it is I, your colleague of old. Come out now so that we might speak, or better yet, let me in, so that I might dry by your fire." "It is an ill wind that brings you here, Master Trigal. And no wind blows." The voice came from all about the mage. "I will not be here long, Lord Patrice." The gates swung wide, and beyond them lay the cobbled stones of the courtyard and several archways. Passing through the first, Malazor found himself at steps leading up. Following these, he passed beneath an open door and into a warm, well-lit hall. To one side, upon a bench, sat Patrice. Tall, narrow of limb and chest, he hunched a little in his age. His robes were long and white, though dirtied around the sleeves and feet. His beard he wore short and groomed, and his hair as well. It was thin, white, offering no contrast to the pale skin of the mage. His fingers were black, a sign of the sorcerer's trade. A small fire burned in a hearth in the wall. Malazor took a seat upon another bench and warmed his fingers by the fire. "Yours is a most unpleasant country, Lord Patrice. Why have you settled here?" "It is for the heavens, Master Trigal. Here I can see the heavens and follow the movements of the sun and moon. On certain days I can even see the wall of worlds and beyond. If I apply myself, I can see the river of the Allfather, the Arc of Time." "I have seen that river too, but not from Aihrde," Malazor sighed. "It is a pity." "Indeed. Shall we begin? Or would you like some refreshments first?" "You have nothing to eat I could digest, Lord Patrice." "It is probably true, and just as well, Master Trigal." He said the name with only a slight hint of the power within it, and Patrice pulled upon it, seeking to ensnare Malazor. The mage smiled. "Clever, Lord, very clever, but none know my name, nor will they." Both rose, facing one another, passionless. Malazor lifted his hand, and Patrice followed, both unleashing eldritch sorceries that battered the walls and shook the ceiling above. The duel began in a wild hail of fire and water as the two sought mastery over one another. At first, Malazor held the upper hand, for his sorcery was powerful and his knowledge of the Andla Garoan deep. But Patrice, ever more skilled, drove him from the hall and into the courtyard. He sought to unravel him, to learn his true name, for with this he might bind him. Malazor eluded the sorcery and struck back with power that shook the building, shattering the pillars so that the awning fell to the courtyard with a crash. The Magi continued their arcane duel. His power unveiled, Patrice summoned lightning that struck Malazor so that his arm numbed and hung useless. The mage staggered back, only to suffer a second lightning strike. Patrice then bound the stunned Malazor in ethereal ropes, lifting him on high and choking the life out of him, but always seeking his name. Malazor held the winter rune, and with it removed himself from combat, the castle itself, only to reappear in the bogs beyond the walls. Following him, Patrice slammed his staff upon the ground at his feet so that the earth split. A crack split in the crust, and the water and mud fell into the abyss, and the crack tore the ground asunder, spreading quickly to where Malazor stood, gathering himself for his next spell. The mage fell into the crevice and was lost in the drenching bog water that filled the rocky gash. As he fell, his sorcery whipped, striking the walls behind Patrice, and brought them and the mage down in a mound of stone and dust. Bound in a globe of searing white, Patrice staved off the rubble, and he walked through it to where Malazor had vanished. Malazor rose from the ground like an avenging demon, and he lashed fire upon Patrice, burning away the globe. The two clashed again, casting sorcery upon one another as they both rose into the air. They hurled bolts, whips of flame, ice, and eldritch powers from beyond the world of Aihrde. In the end, Patrice gave out, his sorcery proving no match for the might of Malazor, so that he fell to ruin. Malazor, tired and battered, cast on high and pulled forth magic from the firmament and bound Patrice in a piece of it. "My friend, you shall not die. Not this day, not the next, nor for many long days ever after. I shall set you on high so that all the world may see you and you it. In later ages, men will look up in the dead of night and see that none may suffer to live without me, unless they suffer greatly." Malazor hurled Patrice into the heavens. Using the winter rune, he cast him into the void, where he resides still, or so it is said, as a light in the sky, circling the world as it came to be every 13 years. Ever after, Malazor's men called him the Archmage, and he was the greatest mage of the world for a long time. The Emperor in these days began to fear the power of the Archmage, and because of this, he forged a blade of Aihrde metal and imbued it with arcane powers. Oh, we're talking about Sebastian. Sebastian is the Emperor, the Archmage's ally. By secret ways, he stole himself into King Luther's old land of Pentagrants, where the holy flame resided, and he bathed the blade in the language of creation. So great was the heat of flame that the steel of the blade turned fiery red, and Sebastian lay spells of unmaking into the receptive metal. The magic mingled with the language and bound the spell of unmaking with the blade, so that ever after, the Emperor felt secure against the powers of the mage. And it was after said that that blade, Decipero, was the only blade that might strike at the heart of darkness and drive it into the wilderness. With the white mage fallen to a demon lord, and Patrice cast out, the Ilarios proved too weak to combat the White Order of Malazor. In the end, one of their own, Ozana, betrayed them. They were overwhelmed, some slain in their towers, others bound to the darkness. Those survivors fled and hid themselves away to return and fight another day. Only a few remained to stand against the powers of the Emperor and the Archmage. Daladon Half-Elven and Jaren, alone of all the great heroes of that day, stood in defiance. Though sorrow followed, for even before they could rally, the Half-Elven fell to a dragon in the south. Jaren bore his body back to his home in the Eldwood, laying it upon the ground at the feet of the great oak. There, the tree consumed his body and soul, harboring it for another day and other battles. Jaron returned to Robert Luther's side and bound himself to the fate of that greatest of kings. Robert Luther ruled all the lands of the ancient Ethvold, from the southern coasts to the Gotland. The great wall of old they repaired, and manned with all the many diverse peoples driven from Anglemay and the east into a holy alliance. It connected the inner sea with the long fence of the Bergrucken Mountains, that in turn crossed the whole land to the Amber Sea. Even beyond the fence, the people of the Massif and the Lechtenfield swore their allegiance to Robert Luther and braced themselves for the terror they knew must surely come. Robert Luther was young then, and in his prime. He was a knight of great renown, never once unseated from his horse, nor fallen victim to the bloody field. He gathered all beneath his banners that would come, and at the head of the Holy Alliance, he defied the emperor and taunted him to come and battle. All stood in awe of the power of the son of Luther, and none would answer his challenge. The emperor knew he could not best him in the field, for his might was great, and the size of his host uncounted. For his part, Malazor suffered doubt, for Robert Luther's might, but also that of Sebastian, as the emperor's power had waxed upon Aihrde, and it was not bound to him as he had hoped. In this breathless moment, all three stood aloft in their towers, keeps, and castles, and waited for what must surely come. So stood the powers of the world, when at last Malazor, in his towers upon the Ura, used the winter rune to break the seals upon the gates, and travel the paths of Umbra to summon the darkness to the world of Aihrde. So we could keep going, but I think that that's as good of a place as we're going to get to stop in the next 15 minutes. So I think maybe we'll just go ahead and have a shorter stream tonight, and then we'll pick it back up again next week. And then we'll do this next little section and keep chugging along. But thank you all for being here. This was a lot of fun. I always love doing these. I just love this story so much. It's such a tragedy. It's so sad. Just all of the things that just, if it had been different, what would have happened if Daladon had not fallen to a dragon of all things before being able to stand up against Sebastian and Malazor? What would have happened if Malazor hadn't outmuscled Patrice and banished him? How different would it have been? What difference would it made or not have made? We'll never know. But we will ponder it as we go ahead and toss a raid to somebody. How about Lord Gazumba? We haven't raided him in a while. So we're going to go. We're going to say hello to Lord Gazumba. We're going to have a good time. They're playing some stuff. It'll be lovely. And thank you all so much for popping in and hanging out. I had a great time, as I always do, with all you guys. So thank you again. I'll see you next week. But for now, go in peace, make the words, do good, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.